Hello and welcome back, folks. Short break it was indeed. FBI Tugboat, PyroJ. We got our D8 match out of the way. That was Mount Vernon taking it down 4-1 fashion against the University of Massachusetts Dartmouth Corsairs. And now we get into the middle meat of this broadcast schedule. Yes, D1 coming up right here between Indiana Tech A and Northwoods U. Pyro, there is a significant amount of history between these two teams.
Yeah, I think Northwood has a significant history in the collegiate space. That is definitely true. Indiana Tech and Northwood, in terms of this fall semester, do have some history. So in the regular season, Northwood had that 4-1 advantage over Indiana Tech. So Northwood kept their status on top of Indiana Tech, but it didn't suit the same way in the playoffs. That winners finals matchup was won over in a sweep fashion from Indiana Tech. So Northwood not only had to beat Cumberland and Concord on their way to face Indiana Tech, but then defeat Cumberland again in that lower final. So it's been a gauntlet from Northwood. They're coming up from that lower bracket. They've not just have to win this match, but the next match. They have to bracket reset if Northwood want to be the champions of Division 1 for NECC Tugboat. It is quite the matchup indeed, as Tech have that big advantage.
Absolutely, absolutely. So looking at Indiana Tech as well, what started off with a 4-2 victory over Fisher College varsity in the first part of the bracket, 4-1 over Ole Miss. So honestly, like it's been an absolute gauntlet, like you said, for Northwood's. Previous match between them was a 4-3 against Concord as well, that number 2 seed. So they've really had to face against the cream of the crop everywhere you look.
Yeah, Northwood, I mean, they're used to going through the gauntlet. Just wrapped up at top 4 in the fall championship for CRL. They're looking to be the top dogs when it comes to NECC, but they're gonna have their work cut out for them. It's Reshiram for the first.
Yeah, a nice job right here, just kind of being exactly where they needed to be. This also does kind of take a little bit of a bias bounce there for Indiana Tech A. See if that luck continues here. Basically off of kickoff. Nice win. Sends us to the corner. Hockey's going to be able to pick this one up, and looks like they're going to be able to bring it out like a little bit. No, a bouncing ball low. Forces the hand of a defender, and another Northwoods player can't quite get on top of it. Finally, they get it. A little possession. Tries to work this thing through the air, and Blue is going to send it flying back the other way.
Starts to feel like for Northwood, those European import teams tend to be a problem for them. Full European descent from these Indiana Tech players. I believe it's England from Reshiram and Bluey. And, Reshiram is going to be the one to score the second goal already. First minute, they're firing away, Doug.
They really are. Bluey does the most of the work, let's be honest. I could get that shot all the way inside.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny, like, with D1, D2 stuff, I see stuff every single game that it's like, yeah, I can never do that. But rest assured, folks, we just watched a D8 match. There's most of the stuff even in that match that I don't think I could really do with hundreds of hours of Rocket League under, so this just goes to show just how much skill there's involved here, the top echelons of these NECC competitions. More of a methodical stop and then clear right here as Northwood's now bring this one out. Bluey challenges a little bit, but it'll be picked up by Zanil.
Quick correction, by the way, from my standpoint there. Velocity and Bluey are the English players, and Reshiram is the French player, but all of them are dusted on this interaction. Creams sets up for hockey.
It's a great job right here from that corner out. It's going to be... Wait. Hockey got the goal. 2-1. Okay.
Yeah, first 2 from Indiana Tech. Northwood finally respond on really one of their first possessions. I mean, listen, this is going to be a long matchup if we're already trading blows like this. Really knockout blows for either team. And hockey might just find the gap again. No, that one's sealed by the defense of Indiana Tech as they're going to work their way across the other side.
Bouncing ball. Hockey kind of coming up to it. Resh actually giving him what hit there for 2. It's a dual demo right here. Bluey, a nice stop, and even better defensive cut there from Creams. Keep those offensive opportunities away. Everybody kind of came back for Northwoods, and it was a quick cleanup. Now Creams Send this one out, meeting it there, nicely done. Resh gets around, Creams comes in like a heat-seeking missile and almost gets the aerial demo.
I gotta respect it. The effort there from Creams to lock into that ball and make sure that it's put away. Northwood don't want to be under the gun of another 2-goal deficit. In fact, they could close out right here. They could equalize. Zanil gets a good dunk on that 50-50. Hockey is able to follow it and find a teammate in Creams on the other side. So quickly to close the gap is Indiana Tech. They set that ball up in the midfield. Had to be intercepted quickly. It was looking like dangerous territory for the ball to be in. Yeah, corner slot goes saved. Hockey able to relieve the pressure with the demolition. And that should allow Northwood to top up back on boost. Trying to get this ball out.
We'll take it to the numbers ever so briefly. We have 11 shots attempted here from Indiana Tech, only 5 on the other side. What is that? 7 shots saved. Northwoods, their work being cut out for them so far. Sends this one to the top. Members of Northwoods have a couple of seconds to try and recollect themselves. But Velocity dealing with this ball over here in a situation, let's just be honest, Indiana Tech really has not been on the defensive side of this ball very often in this game.
No, but they certainly have to be now. That's Velocity going to position himself in for a long ball shot that goes in from the other side. Northwood left stranded.
This is like 4/5 of the pitch all the way across as well. I understand what Northwood is doing. They're just cheating up a little bit more on that offensive side to try and get a goal-tying finish there. Try and maybe take this in overtime if they need to, but instead, 2-1 bleeds into a 3-1 quickly. Now, most dangerous lead in Rocket League, of course, is 2. No time to rest on your laurels, but sub 60 in just a second here for the side of Northwoods. They'll have to put together an offensive drive and then do it again, and that's just got a lot harder.
Yeah, I gotta say, Northwood looking like a very vulnerable team here.
Yeah.
In game number 1. I mean, position for that near-sided save, but demolished on the blocking effort, the leading block effort done by Indiana Tech. They're just ready to bulldoze their way through every single goal that they can. This is a great look, by the way, from Reshi. Looking for Bluey on the other side. And again, I mean, it doesn't go in, but still a bit lackluster on the defensive side from Northwood.
It could have been a lot cleaner. This is, of course, like hanging out on the other side, so it was a quick clear afterwards, but they need a lot more than that, and they need more time with which to do it. 30 seconds right now, a goal every 10. That's just to tie it up, PyroJ. And that's just got to, Patrick.
Add it to the tally.
15 total shots, man.
Yeah. Yeah, 33% on shooting percentage is some fantastic work as well from Indiana Tech. I mean, things that just went from bad to worse for Northwood. And when you look at it in the context of the winners finals, they have a lot of reassurance for this team that's needed out of Northwood. 5 straight losses in the playoffs against Indiana Tech means that a huge comeback is going to be needed in the finals.
Yeah, the best way to look at it is like this. Northwoods needs to take 8 games, right? Obviously 4 in each series, and so they really have even less wiggle room given that it's the bracket reset situation, and Indiana Tech coming in from the top side and coming in from the top side because they 4-0'd this team. Now, color be surprised. I would not have anticipated this final scoreboard, both with the 5-1 scoreline and with Northwoods with only 6 shots and 5 of those only coming out from one player. You shut down like one player, okay, I can see that. But shutting down Creams and Zanil, these are generally going to be some real heavy-hitting, offensive-minded players.
Mm-hmm. Oh, there's no doubt about it. Yeah, you can't doubt the offensive powerhouse that Northwood University shows off themselves to be. Now, they do tend to be that team that will go lockstep with you, right? If they have to win a game 1-0 or 2-1, then they certainly will, but you need to have your defense fortified at that point. You can't be giving up endless amounts of possession. 15 shots. You're just not going to win a game unless it goes into like overtime of 6 minutes. That is pure and utter domination in terms of field control from Indiana Tech. So if that's the way they're getting started, the adjustments certainly have to be made by Northwood. Some other little detail that I wanted to pull out of that is you mentioned Hockey had a majority of the shots, one of the goals for the team. That player in particular scored 0 goals in the match where they got swept by Indiana Tech in that winners finals. So it's interesting to see that that's the only player so far on the board for Northwood.
Yeah, so maybe a little bit of a changing of the themes right there, but yeah, man. I mean, if you're allowing 15 shots to your opponents, you'd better be chalking up 15 saves, because these are just insurmountable numbers no matter what level of Rocket League you go forth and do, unless you're, playing a 15-minute game or something like that. I don't know, Pyro. Zanil puts this down bottom, tries to get it to the middle, and it's a quick cut from Bluey. Takes it up the side, and I think tried to get this back down, but a Northwoods player was waiting in the wings, just play that physical role here. Nobody in the middle. Zanil, a wise decision. I think this is a very, very wise decision. That was actually hockey there. So realize that they were the last player back. If they don't cheat up or they don't challenge up for this one, right? Because they just know that if they don't miss this, and if it is anything but a ball going back the other way, that's going to be a goal. And this goal right here from hockey, assisted by Creams, is literally in existence because they were able to maintain possession. If that ball goes the other way and they line up, there's no way that this just ends up like this again, Pyro.
Yeah, it comes down to midfield presence, and that's it. The game was won over handily there by Northwood. Gathered enough space and domination of that area to hand off the give and go. So they're going to seal the deal with that maneuver each and every time if the space is provided. Speaking of providing space, though, Reshiram just took it coast to coast. A flip reset air dribble and nearly had the go-ahead goal.
Nice.
That's going to be a 2-goal lead. Zanil slots it.
There you go. A little bit more of a return to normalcy and what we've come to expect from this Northwood squad. This is about a half-pitch shot that finds Pater on the backside. Creams with a pair of assists, actually with more points than both of his teammates, who do not have even though he does not have the goal. Kickoff goes the way of Northwoods yet again. Velocity just getting chewed up in the backside by Zanil as they were just trying to get it in. That's decently slotted. Going to hit this out, but take from the corner. Northwoods does. Hockey, their turn to take possession for a couple of seconds, going backwards for just a little while. But these are higher-level Rocket League teams, Pyro, and they're really comfortable, with the backwards passes.
Yeah, higher level, highest level, whatever you want to call them here in the collegiate space. That's where they are at. And they're not afraid to go up high for the ball as well. That redirect pass nearly to Zanil would have given them their third. And I think that was dished up by Creams. I like that you mentioned he's on top of the scoreboard because he's up there for a reason, even with 0 goals. Found the passes to Hockey, to Zanil on those counterattack plays to secure them 2 goals. That's where Indiana Tech have to worry the most is the counterattack. This time Creams takes care of it himself.
He didn't like us talking about no goals, top of leaderboard. No, time for me to get one of mine. 100% goal participation in this game. Number 2 from Creams, 2 assists and a goal to boot.
Northwood trying to give Indiana Tech the boot in game number 2. And that may be the most diabolical way to do it.
Hits off the corner right here, and just a tiny little tipper, a bouncing ball over. And that was Reshi that didn't want to hit their teammate in such a way that they lose control of their car and then own goal, right? The efforts there. Kickoff 1, Zanil coming in, and it's another bouncing ball, but the follow-up there, too high, and Resh gets it on the defensive save. So, well, there's another shot right there. I was going to say that the kickoff woes here for this Indiana Tech squad are over with. Well, finally, after about 30 seconds and a couple defensive saves, they are.
Creams going to have something here. This one played back to Hockey. And Zanil going to cover this ball. I mean, it's just going to be tried and true Rocket League out of Northwood here. No risks necessary, but Zanil had an opportunity for a goal there. It's 50 down away to the corner. For Indiana Tech, you kind of just want to lay the groundwork. You want to return to form. You want something that is a glimmer of that dominant streak in game 1 that you just had.
Decent little clear here from Zanil. Tries to follow it up with a demo, and these two teams are just playing tennis right now. Volley, serve, and this is to the detriment of Indiana Tech. Down by 4 every 10 seconds or so is the 10 seconds you desperately need still in that hourglass, man.
It's emptying too quickly. demolition play from Creams. Going to extinguish one. Hockey flipping in for the bumps, or at least forcing the hand of the defense from Indiana Tech. Zanil, neutral hop to get that second touch and play some corner ball out with Bluey. Bluey unable to resource up with that full container of boost, so his teammate has to top up instead. This is the air dribble, nearly the ground pinch from Creams. All left for Hockey. And they play it off the ceiling. Now, this ball may not be entering the net, but it is doing an immaculate job of playing keep away against Tech.
Yeah, they really are. Bouncing ball, didn't quite see the defender there. Thought it might have been a little bit more open, but it's just a methodical block. Bluey back to the corner, is trying to get this one down and centered, man, but ball just, as soon as it hits this backboard, goes around the corner, just gets hit so high up, you can't even get an angle on it. It's great defense here from Northwood's, honestly categorically different from what we saw before. Finally finds one, Bluey does, but, I mean, just like we said about Northwood's, 3 scores, 40 seconds, this is really, really tough for any team to do at these D1 levels.
It is. I think at this point, Indiana Tech just chip away a little bit at that momentum. A first goal is going to be so important in this game, just to mentally reset you. That almost reset the goal differential at 4, but kickoff is saved. And a little bit of their mental saved in the process.
Great scoop and shove right there from the defense. That's how you transition a ball from your own side into the next. Zanil going for a backwards hit on it, and it was just going to go against backward and end up in a pass. Velocity getting through the offender right there. A great job and a good physical play by Northwoods. Try and make this defender a non-issue. 10 seconds ago, the scoreline has not changed, but teams just don't give up until that strikes 0 and plus beyond.
I'll tell you what, some teams, they wait to pull the rabbit out of the hat till the end, but Northwood decided game 2 was the time. Let those tricks up their sleeve. It's like they were hiding the confidence, the skill set, the wherewithal to collapse on Indiana Tech, and brought it out in this game alone. I think if there's one player just to talk about here in this game, Tugboat. It's the glue of the squad. It is Creams, the playmaker title there with 3 assists. You can remember those first 2. The first one was that give and go with Hockey in the midfield. The second one was that long downfield pass to Zanil, who had an effortless shot off the sidewall to sink it. When this team links up, when they're playing on one thread, they're tough to beat.
Really are. Goes to stand as well. 7 shots attempted by that one Creams player, 5 from the entirety of Indiana Tech. That's not getting into save territory either. Like, yes, okay, so I can see as a Zanil 0 saves. Well, there's just not. I mean, there's only 5 shots attempted on the other side, and with a pair of saves there from Hockey, and even more from Creams doing everything. I mean, middle position, like you said, 3 assists, right? Got a goal as well. Was constantly playing physically and demoing, and some saves. You don't get a more rounded player than you do with Creams in this game 2 that we just saw.
Can expect it all from Creams, but can you expect Northwood to take the eventual win in the matchup? 1 game is something. 4 games is what champions are born of. And, well, 4 games would be the halfway mark for Northwood. If Tech can turn it around, 4 games will be all they need, as they did qualify through the upper bracket into this matchup. We'll get the game 3 going just as soon as everybody rejoins the lobby, which we finally have. So, tied up in the series, Tugboat 1-1. It's anyone's ball game. Let's get back to it.
Yeah, if there's like one little thing I'd differentiate between these two, for Northwoods, you got to continue this kickoff prowess. Like, that last half of game 2 was completely controlled by them in a situation where Northwoods, or with Indiana Tech, always wants to maintain initial possession off of a kickoff. On the other side here, Indiana Tech, yes, obviously, like, forcing that to be a non-issue, but also just get the passing plays in and let velocity cook, because that's what I was getting with this. I'm glad they shot right there, because when you're talking about, like, insane angles, not just, like, right in front of net and beating a defender, ooh, that pinch was almost dangerous, but velocity just seems like they've been able to get it done from any part of the field.
Yeah, I mean, for me, that's almost unsurprising from Velocity. This is a player that I not only know from the collegiate space more recently, but the RLCS SSA space as well. One of the import players that took advantage of the lack of 2/3 role of the professional league and grab some wins at the professional level. They were hard carry for their squad, and with what Velocity is able to do with their mechanical display at such a fast speed, I agree with you, Tug. If Tech are looking to get back into this, give the rock to him.
Man, oh man, that is 1, 2, 3, 4 demos in the past 2 seconds or so. Let me tell you, yeah, that's a part of this game plan here for Indiana Tech. Get in there, demo early after you positively influence the momentum of this ball. If it ends up being a bump, that is acceptable. A little bit of pressure here for one of the first times against Indiana Tech. Zanil and the rest of Northwood's just trying to get this ball centered and get his teammates another opportunity. Tries to walk the dog themselves. That is not going to happen against 3 Indiana Tech defenders.
That's not the read Creams was looking for on the play against Reshiram. And all it takes is one mistake there on the sidewall, and you let Resh loose.
Yeah, Hockey realizes it right there. That's a little bit of that split, like, so they realize that there's another offender down bottom who's primed for the pass, and they kind of split the decision between the two. If they go to sidewall, then like they might have had an opportunity on both, but that is also super easy to say. Hindsight 2020.
No way.
Oh my God! And they go from corner to corner.
Oh, this is nasty work. Velocity thinks he has the gap closed, but Creams finds Zanil on the other side, and at that point, you just gotta lock in and hand the bag over. What a set play for Northwood to tie it up.
Insane stuff. Insane stuff. When you see this ball not travel like below, like the top line, like it's pretty much just occupying its space up there like it has wings and still goes in, you know that what you just saw was absolute Rocket League greatness. And Neil, without a whole lot of poos to be spoken of, still forces the hand of a defender. Back to the corner, Reshi does after a player gets sent flying towards the middle, down low. Nobody really there for Velocity to get the ball to.
Hockey's got 0 boost, but is looking for Creams. Gets the pass off. That shot deflected by Bluey. Savior medal earned. Bluey definitely get the reps in on the defensive line. Hockey's going to spin right on this and try to capitalize on an open midfield play, but it's knocked away. Zanil takes advantage off the backboard. Saved by the defense. And Bluey's left alone with nearly an open play, but this goes around the other way. Resh just gets the angle to get it out of harm's way.
Bro, if Resh hits this to the left anymore, then that's essentially just a long-winded pass to the offender. If he gets to the right anymore, it's an own goal. That is perfectly slotted, and this high-flying defense continues to strike.
Oh, Hockey, the lead blocker, gets Bluey to get bumped. And Hockey's got to spin back around for this ball. Barely able to get a touch on it. That one bounces towards the net, and Velocity still holding their ground on the defensive side. As you can tell, Indiana Tech unwilling to give up the lead as they did in the last game. In fact, they might just take it back.
It's literally exactly what you just said, Pyro. Just the tiniest of mistakes, right? This comes off, and he gets way too much under it. It hits the ceiling and pops right down perfectly in front of net. Bluey is going to feast on those all day long.
That's right. An opportunistic team is Indiana Tech. You let a little bit by them. Say you give an inch, they'll take a mile. They're looking to get some mileage out of that go-ahead goal and win this game by a 1, maybe 2 if they have to. That ball cleared to the other side for Creams to take up. Cooks their pinch a little bit lighter than he was looking for, I think.
It's been big score differences so far. Creams keeps the dream alive. And again, it's just the most minor of mistakes. Defenders are forced to come in and play this one, and he comes off the sidewall just like, I mean, a quarter of a second too early.
Yeah, I got to hand it to Creams because normally going for the double there is insane, but it's actually the only way to get past the defense, which has the read on the shot. And not only to discern that that's the best path to the goal, but then to do it with the Roadhog, that's just another level of greatness.
See if those levels of offensive prowess are able to continue right here. Taking a look at the numbers, there's really not a whole big difference. 11 shots. Northwood's taking a look at 7 right now for Indiana Tech, so maybe a little bit, but as you can see, score difference not going to be any difference. That's just shot attempts.
It's Neil left with this one, closing in on a potential overtime. That ball was left for Resh, but Zanil had the lock in on it. Creams shadowing velocity, allowing Zanil to fill the gap on the rotation. And it's bad pre-jump out of Creams. It's open for velocity and Bluey to link up and take the lead at the perfect moment.
Bro, it was velocity that I was talking about, and it is going to be velocity on the assist right here, so I really do feel vindication from that. But Bluey, here's the stats. 5 shots, 3 goals, and 6 saves. Bluey has the same amount of saves as Northwood does as an entire team.
Yeah, that 864 score is nothing to bat your eyes at, or roll your eyes at even. It's one to be impressed by, but hold on.
Whoa.
The big Roadhog still got something to say.
So Creams hits this from like 3/4 pitch. That's a miss, and there's nobody on the defenders. Neil is actually badgering. Okay, so a hat trick Creams, a hat trick Bluey. We're basically reset and primed to go to overtime.
Very well. Hand it over. Northwood. Wait, can you secure OT, though? Hockey's the last defender. Velocity plays it around him.
Yeah.
And Cream says, enough of that, please. Give me extra time.
Yeah, they did not like how that was turning out after Northwoods took the advantage
nice
off
pass.
a kickoff.
I like this kickoff link up.
Yep.
It's in for Northwood. Look at the connection. Creams had left it for the rotation on the kickoff. Gave the rock to Zanil, and well, he took care of the rest.
Yeah, you watch that unfold in there, Pyro. As soon as the pass comes infield, and once again, I mean, it's just the most minor of mistakes yet again that leads to a score difference. The very, very end of this one, defender just can't quite turn and flip into this. Offender has their way with the net. First non-multi-score differential, right? This was 5-1 in game number 1, 4-1 game number 2 for Northwoods. This is going to be the first time one of these teams string 2 games together.
I think Indiana Tech's going to feel like that one was stolen from them as well. I mean, they had the lead going into the final 10 seconds of the game. You get one midfield flub. You let Creams beat you with the Roadhog. And now the mental's down because, I mean, for Tech, right? Almost any collegiate team is not going to be rated as highly as Northwood is with how consistently high they perform, with even how well Hockey Creams and Zanil perform at the RLCS level, right? So when you're getting wins against Northwood, you're feeling on top of the world. Your mental's as best as it can be. And then Creams enters a meme car, forces OT with that vehicle, and then beats you in the game. There has to be a mental and a physical reset from Indiana Tech and an ability to close out these wins because they had the chance to do it in the last game.
Okay.
They'll have the chance to do it in this one now as well.
We can once it switches perspective, you'll see. So Velocity sees this as soon as Zanil turns back towards their net, then they know there's no way they're going to be able to get vertical. It's just a little pop right over the top. And defender gets nothing more than a front row seat to this goal. So, 4 goals in the past 27 seconds of Rocket League, Pyro.
Now that is maddening. It is terrifying, honestly, for any defense, as it feels like it's pedal to the metal, and it certainly is. And Neil had a wonderful shot lined up. It was just Reshiram that had the read to really get up there in time to make the block happen. So we almost saw a 5th goal in 40 seconds, Tugboat. We were so close.
We really were. And I mean, we're chuckling a little bit because these are high-level teams, and generally, I mean, a 2-1, 3-0 maybe, 0-1 all the time. These are more standard D1 ending Rocket League score lines after 5 minutes. Been much, much higher scoring on the day. That was an earlier one here for the side of Indiana Tech. A little bit of offense for Northwoods. Creams tries to put this against the backboard, and it looked like it was an attempted pass, but it not really ended much. And Hockey blocks their teammate's shot. That is a feels bad ban.
Yeah, listen, what can you do at this point but dust the dirt off your pants and just try again, right? Listen, you're just down 1 in a game where these have been tight-knit matches, and you just need another chance at greatness. Zanil.
So it's kind of a random hit there from Bluey, and I'm not sure if they thought the defense or the offender down bottom was going to be able to get low and under this one. Again, minor mistake, and it's going to get punished immediately. That's what we always talk about these high-level teams, right? Great teams to capitalize upon mistakes and always recognize immediately when they're being committed.
That's right. You've
Nice.
got to have an eye on the prize. And listen, when there's open space to take advantage of too, you got to do that as well. Creams just loses that 50. Did a great job of staying behind the ball, but you need support there after. Perfect positioning there from Indiana Tech to get their lead.
Lead back to it. 3 scores, 90 seconds or so. Hockey wins that one, sends it back on over. That's a random ball. This could be a pass just as easy as shot, but it's a huge clear the other way, and Resch is going to take up the mantle. Reset, perfectly cornered, top post and in. 2 shots, a score, an assist, a save. This is Resch doing everything right now.
I mean, what's insane about that goal is that Reshiram wasn't even coming at the right angle with that ball. He had to hit it with a diagonal undercarriage to coordinate his car and the ball in the right direction. Then pick up the reset. So many intricacies to that individual play that allowed for the goal for Tech. Reshiram feeling about as good as he possibly could be in this Rocket League game.
You got to. I mean, it was Bluey in the previous game that really turned it on for the squad. Velocity a lot more so towards the beginning of this one, but Creams is not to be ever understated or underestimated.
Yeah, check out the pass from Zanil. I mean, that is light work from this player. Listen, Northwood have played together for so long, and you'd think, well, a pinch pass, I mean, nobody's expecting that, right? Think again, right? Don't call out plays like that. They played together long enough that they can communicate, hey, be mid in a split second, and they'll already be there because they move on one thread. A necessary goal for Northwood to stay in Game 4.
Ooh, a hit off of the top right there for Creams, but this is going back the other way, a little bit too high. Creams another attempt. No, actually kind of flattens this one out and turns into a pass to Neil. So this is either a bad offensive attempt or a great pass. No, that's a pass. That's off the wheels. That's fantastic.
That was lovely. Yeah, and listen, with Creams in Game 2 being the playmaker, being the one to make those incredible assists, we watch that replay and we're like, oh yeah. Creams was thinking, not even thinking twice really about that pass. So wonderful facilitation once again from Creams to get Northwood nearly back in the driver's seat. We're all tied up at the halfway mark after just a minute ago when it looked like Tech were running away with it.
Gotta agree with you. 5 total shots here from Zanil by themselves. They've really put that mantle of offense on their backs, but Resch is doing the same damn thing. 3 goals, that's a hat trick.
I think Hockey was looking for the same kind of pass that Creams had, down in front to a teammate. It went to somebody. That somebody just was not on their team. And Indiana Tech are going to take those every single time. As we mentioned, they're a team that will punish even the slightest of mistakes. Northwood back down by 1.
7 scores is what we got in our previous game, a game that would go into overtime, short as that overtime might have been. So if you like scoring, this is the D1 Grand Finals for you, my friends. Velocity, trying to get in a position across the middle, maybe hit a defender. Zanil, maybe with an opportunity. He's been cooking so far this game. Hit dead ball right side. Tries to get back to the corner. Hockey does, but completely taken away from possession. There, Resch. Across the middle, sends it back down the other way.
Hockey just going for the physical play there. And Creams, I thought he'd have more time with that ball. Had the full boost, and look at him make the decision to reserve that boost. He allows Hockey to steal the resources. That means we're low on boost for Indiana Tech on the other side. Reshi really the only player with resources to make a play happen. And boy, do they ever completely defuse an otherwise lethal attack from Northwood. He's continuing to interfere. Resch has not left his orange half in a bit, not even to get boost. Moves out to Hockey's, and Neil's going to be the one with the shot, but he's a little ahead of the ball. That one goes by the wayside.
Goes up to it. Nice win on the chow there by Hockey, but it just bounces his ball back down, and Bluey is going to be the one that sends it way cleared. A little bit too fast, though, so they weren't able to maintain any sort of possession. What control from Creams! Every time this guy goes up into the air, nobody knows what's going to happen.
You haven't seen a Roadhog like this. Certainly not in the finals of a top-tier collegiate showing. This is nasty work out of Creams. The pop reset to get it over the last He's equalized in the final minute again, Tugboat.
Yeah, and this has got to feel like the beginning of a bad dream that they've seen before. Indiana Tech has Velocity with a solid opportunity right there, but just really hasn't been connecting on the ball like we saw a little bit earlier. And like I said, that we really need to see from this Indiana Tech squad to come out, put their best foot forward. Velocity, speaking of, learns all the boost to get there, and it's a double commit. Down bottom, one player in position, the other two are not quite yet. Creams just doesn't like the look of it, sends it way back the other way. Last bounce territory. Northwoods can do it! Oh, so close.
Yeah, they were in search of that little redirect under the net. Northwood aren't going to come up with it. Tech are going to have the advantage coming off the kickoff, though. Velocity misses the ball. What an opportunity to put this OT to bed on an individual play off the ground there, but one little mistake is going to stop that effort. So Neal just can't get the exit, though. That's Reshiram back in rotation. The redirect is missed. Cream's forced to play low, and he's going to feel very fortunate that Resh didn't have the read.
Those two just minor misplays, both of the offensive opportunities. Bluey twisting and turning across the middle to try and pull this defense off to one side. Not going to happen, at least for a few seconds, as Hockey's able to get it. Nice pass. This one's just a little bit too high and left. Continues on, so ball lives in the corner until Creams redirects it back middle. Down low, and I got to say, Indiana Tech has been cheating up a whole lot in this overtime so far.
Yeah, I respect it because some of these infield passes have been the perfect look, but all over it right now is Northwood. They've seen these infield passes coming through. The interceptions have been really clean. The vision out of Northwood, very professional. In a moment like this, it is necessary. One little play could lead to a win here in overtime. And it's golden goal territory,
Nice.
And Zanil on the opponent's backboard is in the exact territory where he thrives.
Fantastic. Zanil just reads this so early and is behind every member of Indiana Tech. Once they look over the shoulders and see him off of the sidewall here, we all knew what was happening. 9 scores. 9 scores, people. We're just going up and up and up. Started off with 6 total, went to 5, now 7 in overtime, now 9 in overtime. Crazy stuff. Crazy stuff. Shots attempted. This is not really where the difference in this game came in, I don't feel like. What is that? 12 for the side of Northwoods into an extended overtime, 9 for Indiana Tech, and a lot of these were quality. 9 total shots for them, made them in, obviously. 5 saves for Northwoods.
Talk about, I know you said we're going up and up. You know, we had 3 to 4, just had 4 to 5. Next, we might have 5 to 6. I just want us to be careful about the direction we're going. That is dangerous territory if we get that far. So we'll see. We'll see. But no, 9 goals is absurd in the game of Rocket League, and it is a call to arms for both teams. It is a question for both teams to take a breath after this game and say, okay, what are we doing? Either offensively to be giving up counterattacks like that, or just in the defensive rotation to allow our boost to get constantly stolen, to put us in those vulnerable positions, or to try to stop the playmakers. So, I'm going to call it out again. Creams has just directed so much successful looks.
Yep.
For this Northwood team, has been the most clutch player on the squad in those late game moments. That's the guy you got to stop if you can.
Wow, more methodical play right here. One goes for it, total whiff. Second goes for it, total whiff. One defender back, and Velocity can't do it all by them while they're lonesome. I really hope this ain't the case, but it might seem like a little bit of the mental factor coming in against Indiana Tech right now. They know how good this squad is, and they know they just 4-0'd them in the upper finals, but they also know that that wasn't the end of this Division A bracket.
Yeah, if you're tuning in now and you weren't here at the beginning for us to explain it, just going to mention it again because it's a very important detail here in the NECC finals. There's an upper and lower bracket. These teams already played in the winners finals. Indiana Tech, as Tugboat just mentioned, did win in a sweep. But that was not the end of the road for Northwood. They're here in the lower bracket, meaning they have to win this match and then another one to be crowned the champions of NECC. And in order to do that, Tugboat, they've got to stop shots like this.
Yep, completely agreed. And this felt like it felt like if Northwood gets a second one when they're up 3-1 in this series, then it's almost like a darn it, clap your hands together, shake them off. and just go on into the reset, go into the bracket reset. But as it is, it's just got a lot easier for Indiana Tech to bring this one back from what must feel like the brink.
Yeah, listen, for Tech, they're going to do everything they can to win this championship in convincing fashion. That means doing it in the very first match that is presented to you. They've already proven that they can defeat Northwood in a game. They've already proven that they can honestly beat Northwood in nearly every game in this series. We just wrapped up a couple overtimes in which in the final minute, Indiana Tech went into the final minute of game time with the lead. So they just got to close on their chances. Northwood, though, they are that kind of final boss of collegiate, though, for a reason.
Oh, yeah. Just the clutch kings of collegiate, I'm telling you. There doesn't really seem to be the same issues when it comes to closing, and what that tells me, nice pass, completely bit onto this one. Creams, once again, when they go up top, you know what's going to happen. Creams actually gets this one down to teammate Zanil. Previous goal was Zanil lurking on the backboard. Wasn't able to get behind these defenders like that, and it's another Northwood's lead.
That one's even more ridiculous than the last one that Creams put up, because the last one he was able to pre-jump off the ceiling and hit him mid-air. But this time Creams started that play from the ground, got the reset off the ceiling to get the pass from Zanil. I mean, I usually credit Hockey and Creams for being on the same wavelength, but right now, Creams and Zanil on these aerial give-and-goes, plays you rarely see in Rocket League. Yeah, this is astounding.
I mean, just because it's so difficult to put the ball back exactly where it just came from, right? And especially, having to do that moving calculus behind that player being flying through the sky at the moment, right? Backwards pass, this might be dangerous. Nah, so didn't quite get in front of this ball before it continued its trajectory to the other side. Bluey will be on a respawn for a couple of seconds. His velocity might have a little bit of an opportunity. Neil has got plenty of boost. That's a dangerous ball right across the middle and now foisted back to the middle.
There's something about those huge plays from Northwood that, whether or not Creams is in a Roadhog or not, you can tell they're having fun, right? And that seems to be an element of these Rocket League players, right? In these tense moments, in these situations where you have to be clutch, can you be calm? Can you remain calm under pressure? And I think having fun in the game, Tugboat, might be the best way to keep that composure.
Well, that's a good point. If you're having fun, like you're actively having fun, you don't really have time to worry about, what could happen if, right? You don't have time to worry about, how you're going to feel upon a loss or anything else like that. So I have to agree with you here, Pyro. I'm getting a little angry, a little physical here as Resh and the rest of Indiana Tech A. And this was physical play that ruled the day and brought them to a couple of really close games, would-be games they'd gone forth not to win in overtime, but Zanil yet again, man. This is just insane ball handling, right? So Creams puts this down bottom, Zanil with a couple of fakes.
Yeah, no, diabolical is the only word that comes to mind for me for that play. Zanil just let everyone fly right by, walked the dog, essentially. You couldn't pick a straighter path to the net if you were in free play for that one. He makes it look so easy. Talk about it, so easy for Zanil to score that he's going to do it again.
Yeah, easy peasy. A little bit of a breakdown defensively. There was a defensive whiff right there, kind of backwards flipping to this, and that just brought us way, way closer to a bracket reset and a full clean slate.
So 4-1 here for Northwood. They just won a couple games into overtime, but this one feels a little more overbearing than those other ones, unless we see a late game comeback. Talk about that is not happening. 5-1. Northwood are on a conquest of their own.
Indiana Tech as well, if they drop this game, that'll be 4 games in a row, right? Like, ideally, you lose a series 4-1, you want to have that game be somewhere in the middle, kind of similar to their previous matchups, Ole Miss and whatnot. This is just a slow burn that developed into a full-on bonfire for the side of Northwood. This is exactly the scoreline that our game 1 finished at, and for Indiana Tech A, this must feel like a long, long past memory.
Yeah, it certainly does, but I think even when Indiana Tech took that 4-0 win against Northwood in the winners finals, they kind of knew they'd be back. They had a feeling they'd see Northwood in the grand finals.
Fair.
and that they'd have to try to get this win yet again. Disgusting pass, by the way, from Zanil off the ceiling. Why not? We'll put that as maybe number 4 top play of the game. It's been that ridiculous showboating winning factor of Northwood so far in this game. But yeah, Tech are up against a challenge that they knew they'd have to best once again.
Yep, 30 seconds to go right here. Maybe try and put a couple more on the board. 4 and 30. 5 and 30, excuse me. Ugh, just to tie it up as well. Another attempt and another goal. Hockey and the rest of Northwood is going to maintain a lot of momentum going into this one. Hockey also has a hat trick and is still last by about 100 points on the squad, given that all 7 of these goals have been assisted from someone.
Team effort. We've got the aerial give and goes, the ceiling drop down passes, the player with a hat trick doesn't even have second place on the scoreboard. That is the kind of domination you come to expect sometimes with this team. 7-1 may be that final scoreline here, not only in this game, but this match. Northwood University put a clobbering on for game number 5 to win match number 1 of this grand finals. Bracket has been reset, and Northwood positioned to do it again.
Oh yeah, and also take a look at these. These are, so 9 total shots distributedly as evenly as they can. 5 saves. They did come out with Zanil not having any of those. Doesn't really matter. You have a hat trick for another side. No assists. We will forgive that, right? Given that 2 goals for either of those 2 other players, and they had at least 3 assists, Zanil, with 4 of them. This was an absolute shutdown play. Northwood's playing their game and not deviating from the game plan whatsoever. Not a letter. Not a single letter.
Yeah, this is fantastic. I mean, I'm truly impressed by Northwood University to respond in the way that they did. Indiana Tech's first win in this series was dominant. Maybe 5-1 Tugboat? Do you have a score on that win? Indiana Tech
in the game number 1? Yes, it was 5-1 in game 1. Yep.
5-1. I mean, it did not look like this is how it would end, especially after Indiana Tech did get that sweep against Northwood in the winners final. So Northwood really turned the tides in an impressive way. But folks, we're going to take a very short break before we get back to the action here. We are resetting this bracket. This match will continue, so you don't want to go anywhere. Keep glued right here to the NECC Rocket League Finals. See you in a short bit.
Hello and welcome back, Rocket League fans. NECC D1 going down right now. FBI Tugboat PyroJ. Folks, if you're just now tuning in, I feel sorry for you. You just watched an insane bracket reset here from Northwoods after dropping game number 1 5-1. After that, they would answer with a 4-1 game number 2, 2 back-to-back overtimes, 3-4, 4-5, both going the way of Northwoods. The game number 5 right there ended in a lead early, and then just Indiana Tech abandoning all kinds of defense, just try to score. The end result was 7-1.
It was a clobbering at the end of it. You mentioned a good point, which is that Indiana Tech kind of had to throw the kitchen sink at it to try to score against Northwood, and that just made matters worse. But I agree with you. You know, folks missed out if they missed that first match. But you know what, Tugboat? It was so good that we just got to do it again. Bracket's been reset for Northwood. They come back from the lower finals with vengeance in their mind, ready to get match number 2 underway. The final NECC championship matchup here in the bracket reset of Indiana Tech and Northwood is on. Let's get to it.
Absolutely. A trophy and undying honor and glory on the line here for the NECC. You don't get higher than D1 for Rocket League, my friend. Well, for any of the esports within the NECC. A little bit of a defensive tripping up. Almost an early one. Velocity showing up on the defensive side. We talked all day about their offensive prowess, Pyro.
They have an unbelievable ceiling when it comes to mechanics, and unfortunately in this matchup, it's seen its inconsistencies. Excuse me. What I'm trying to say is we'll see the best out of them, and we'll also just see some missed touches. I think because they're going for those sharp angles at all times. You want to try to make the best plays, Tugboat. Sometimes there's a cost to it.
It's entirely fair. Resh whips this one around. It gets way too high, just like a little bit too much space underneath it. Creams fills that space quickly, and that is how you transition from defense into an offense with even more vim and vigor. Bluey, pass to the middle. Creams reads it perfectly. He knows that author. He's checked out the book, has a library card.
I'm checking out Creams' car here. We went from the Roadhog to the Mantis, maybe the tallest car to the flattest. What a transition that was, but kudos to Resh. Turned that ball on a dime to set up for Bluey's goal.
Indiana Tech A gonna be striking first here in the the Nationals here, the Grands and whatnot, but the bracket reset, so match number 2. Velocity and chips into this one just a little bit too early. Blue is going to be able to help him forgive the mistake. A bouncing ball back to the middle, placed well by Northwoods, negates any real opportunity. Hockey, you can call that a forced hand of the defense, or you can call that Hockey barely getting there.
Hockey had it calculated the whole way, just like he's got this reset dunk pass to Zadil. That could have been a goal. That one as well from Creams, but it misses the mark. And I guess Indiana Tech will live to see another possession.
Hey, they will take it, especially with the mistakes that Indiana Tech have been committing on the defense. It seemed like they turn into a goal for Northwoods more often than not. Yeah, we'll get it how we live, dude. Hockey confusing a lot of offenders right there and making it so that they just have to force it off to the right side. Velocity and the rest of Indiana Tech A should be happy to even have possession right now.
Yeah, it's been hard fought each and every one. This is a nice redirect out to Creams, but not going to be a first on the ball. Those aerial challenges have been swift from Indiana Tech, and that's important to defuse the bomb that is so often Creams. On the attacking side, passing play on the inside from Hockey to Zanil will not go uncontested, as have been many of the shots from Northwood. Indiana Tech not giving Northwood really any room to breathe on these shots, as Northwood maybe are trying to make Indiana Tech bleed.
Hey, they'll give it up here. They'll sacrifice the body for these shots. Maybe there is a little blood on those controllers or something. No. 2 minutes to go right here. Bluey, again, just gets here a little bit too early. Pyro, what is the issue? It just seems like the last 1% of completing everything from long drawn-up passing plays that finally score to just like little movements right there that just need to be executed perfectly. It just seems like there's an issue here for Indiana Tech A, my man.
It's the desire to outpace Northwood, and sometimes that will help you, because the Velocity nearly had a lightning fast double tap, but sometimes it will hurt you because you expend all your resources to get ahead of them that you have nothing left to get back. Hockey and Creams double up to take out that last defender and equalize.
Fantastic job, physical play, ruling the day, I should say. 105 seconds left in this one, tied ball game. If you watched the previous match, folks in chat, tell me if something seems a little bit similar here, Hockey. You can cue the Jaws music, blood in the water. They almost bit down on this one and found another. Picks up side boost. Hockey will be ready to go forth and feast upon this. But it's Danilo across the middle that's going to end up with a passing play. Tries for the wall pinch to get it off to the corner. Maybe a little bit more of a passing on their mind.
There's been an unrelenting possession here from Northwood. They just keep carrying on with these shots, and you'd think that one goes in. Fresh had to take on 2 shot takers there from Northwood. But even with the expended resources from Northwood's side, it wasn't enough to score that go-ahead goal. This might be shot taker bumped away. Wrestling out the offense is Indiana Tech, and they'll close the gap there as well.
We've started the conversation, so we continue it. Tell me how you think that ball's trajectory would have been influenced with, say, maybe a more meta car.
It wouldn't. A Metacar would not pull off some of these other plays that Creams is doing. I'll give him that. And some of the redirects, some of the 50s. Listen, a flat, long car has its advantages and its disadvantages, and that is just the truth of these non-standard vehicles. That being said, you may see C6 vehicles in overtime as time is trickling down. It'll be a third on the set of matches we've seen today. If we get there, Zanil's gonna pass off the backboard. It goes right down. And Hockey's got a handle on it. Northwood say no to overtime.
132 kilometers per hour. That is just shy of 100 miles an hour on that goal. Just right up close and personal shotgun blast. Some fantastic stuff. That is the, excuse me. So this is similar to what they did in that game number 3 previously. Indiana Tech up 3-2. They get it in the very, very last second. Excuse me, I guess it was technically 2 seconds left for them to tie it up. They do. That was Creams. And then it's like 12 or 17 seconds or something like that in overtime. The Northwood would go forth and take this one down. Looking at 8 shots versus 12, I don't see a massive score. I don't see a massive differential there when you go forth and just tell me the score difference is 1 at the end. The problem continues here for Indiana Tech, man, and it's just closing. Like, I'm not sure if they're counting their chickens and be like, okay, well, overtime, how do we want to drop this kickoff? You got to get there first, guys, and it's just, it's a little bit... Yeah, it's a little bit frustrating, perhaps, I guess, right? Because it seems like it's the same issues over and over and over again. And I can understand. I think it was a great point. Trying to outpace an incredibly fast-paced team like Northwoods can be difficult, but it just seems like it's resulting in these tiny mistakes, man.
You can get there first. You certainly can, but it's going to cost you some positional mistakes, like we saw them get dusted on the counterattack, and some precision on the ball, like we saw them miss that finishing shot or that finishing factor. So pace can always be ramped up. It's about what you're costing in the end, and those meters just have to find a good balance for Indiana Tech if they want to come away with a victory. Heck, Doug, not just in the series, but in one of these games. Listen, Northwood are on a tear of their own as they continue to come up with these clutch goals and win them the games.
And I guess I shouldn't put this all on Indiana Tech because Northwood is an incredibly talented squad that is like forming these very, very tough positions into honest scoring opportunities, and half the time they're going in. Being able to, what is it, the Rumpelstiltskin, right? Spinning gold from straw. Perhaps a new name for Northwood University. Rumpelstiltskin U?
Yeah, I think they'll consider that. You know? They'll put that one in the suggestion box. As we'll see. Nothing about the gameplay change. That's for sure. No rebranding needed here. This has been hot from them. Resch is going to try to get a turnaround here, though. Air dribble bump won't go. Hockey's got the save.
Yeah, it was that last tiny little touch, that tiny little aerial bump like you were mentioning that almost found pay dirt here. Not going to be fooled as the defense. Back on down to the corner. This will be sent to the other side. Really went a little bit more horizontal with this. Resch does get the bicycle kick mid-50 attempt and downside. Oh my goodness. Another situation of just like a little bit of a different angle, and we'd see a point on the board here for Indiana Tech.
Certainly, that one, I don't even know if Resch realized that they would have a second chance at it off the backboard. So, fortunate just to have a touch on it. Would have been miraculous to convert it to a goal. But how about the pre-jump here? No surprise to see Creams try to flex on Indiana Tech once again. You can call it cocky, but realistically, he's pulled off 2 aerial give-and-goes already in this game. Why not go for more? Still 0-0, 2 minutes into this game 2 of the bracket reset. And Zadil very comfortable and cool on the goal line.
A bouncing ball. Maybe it looked a little bit odd there for a second, but he nailed it. This, I mean, the game plan hasn't changed so much, and I like that. That means that neither of these squads are necessarily like categorically changing a game plan that has worked thus far to at least result in a non-scoring game. I mean, 8 total goals in the last game of the previous series, 9 in the previous, and 7 in the previous. That was game number 3. These are really high-scoring games.
Ooh. Yeah, well, hey, speaking of scoring, let's get another one on the board. This is nasty from Creams. Gets a reset off the ceiling. Decides not to even go for the shot. He just trusts his teammate to find this ball and get to the top corner. And you know, the closest person to defending that shot, the closest player to saving that goal, it was Creams.
It was Creams. Of course it was. On that roundabout. What is the move called when you run up the backboard again?
It's either an in-and-out save or a squishy save.
Squishy save, gotcha. Almost squishy save there. Well, it's going to be velocity, and the rest of Indiana Tech. This play took about all of 4 seconds, but they've spent the better part of 3 minutes trying to find that first. We were at a tied situation about 10 seconds ago. We're at a tied situation again here. Now, the way that Creams is coming up to this, like, obviously we know that they have the moves, given that they have, like, I mean, crazy aerials in general, 2 of those give goes, like you said. Every single time they go up, what that means is that you're, like, that Indiana Tech is forced to respect it, right? They have to send a player there early just based on the threat that this player poses. That's literally getting so much done without actually, like, really committing to any, like, offensive movement from an individual player. It's crazy effect to watch on the pitch.
It is. It's calling these guys to action again and again from Indiana Tech. And unless you're there to meet Creams with his next play, you're going to be left in the dust. He's been the facilitator of the day. He's been the pre-jumper of the day. And he's setting a orbit tone for what could be a tyrannical series out of Northwood against the fight that Indiana Tech are trying to wage. Minute to go in game number 2. And it could be one of the most important minutes in this double series of the night for Indiana Tech. It could be the chance for them to finally lay down a clutch play that could win them the game instead of Northwood.
Yeah, and team that scores next, kind of the same situation as we saw earlier. Team that scores next feels like they're going to go for it and take this game. And that just means so much more for Indiana Tech than it does for Northwoods, right? They have not won a game in 1, 2, 3, 5. This would be the 6th. If they lose this, it'll be the 6th game in a row they've lost in this series after 4-0ing this squad in the grand finals. Just got to finish. That's to the corner. Have to block it, and they do. Zanil, a crazy shot, and maintains the second. An even better block, and that's hockey on the attempt. Creams just trying to maintain possession across his back. That's an even better clear as Zanil looked for a second to try and pick up that corner. Doesn't even need it.
Ooh, smart ball there from Velocity just to get some distance on it and buy a little shred of time for his team. Find it on the other side as well. Ashiram unable to steal that boost. Now Creams has a full tank of boost with 5 seconds remaining. This is a death sentence here for Indiana Tech if we've ever seen it. The ball still doesn't reach the ground, so we just can't call game. Creams tries to keep it alive. It's a psycho attempt from Hockey. He'll miss the redirect. We will get a chance on the backboard on it. Zanil prepared for it, but can only hit it down. Another OT. Let's go.
Where else would we go, my friend? It was basically OT in the previous. We thought twice in 5 games of the previous match before this bracket reset. Of course, Indiana Tech coming from the top of that, but that doesn't matter anymore here, Pyro.
That's right. All that matters is the gameplay we see thereafter. Okay, that's a tough read off the backboard, but he times it pretty well. And he really needed to play protection on that ball because him and a teammate had 0 boost. They've been able to change that now. As Hockey's the one with boost. We'll coordinate this to the backboard. Finds Zanil. Rash is waiting for this on the ground, but I don't know what kind of play he's waiting on because Northwood are all up on it. Hockey's chases down the other way and decides to play a little bit of keep away. Trying to bait the other team into playing the ball, saying, go ahead, try. They are able to get it past him, and Northwood haven't really exited their own half. Pinch play, give and go, nearly lands for Indiana Tech, but they'll come up dry on that possession at the end.
Yeah, Northwood's just so comfortable playing this to the corner, right? I mean, just using the space allotted to them, knowing that their defense can come up on the other side.
That's right. And that comfort level from Northwood. They just earned them a goal-scoring opportunity. Ground double. Nearly goes. Creams had the right idea with the demolition as well. The goalie bump comes through on the next opportunity. Hockey's right under this. Pass right in front of the face of the goal. Does anyone know who's going from Indiana Tech? That is 3 players around the ball, and no one dives in until the last second. Columns breaking down in one of the most pivotal moments right now for Indiana Tech. The ball laid up for Zanil. Double tap prepared. He puts off the crossbar. Is anybody there to finish? Shot from Hockey. Lands through a defender. Velocity. The last second save.
Holy moly, dude. If you triple commit as Indiana Tech 1,000 times in a matchup against them, they're going to get scored on the other 999 times. And then it comes with another goal line stave. Hercules status. I honestly think the offender might have gotten a little bit of their body in between themselves and the ball as well. But 2 minutes plus of overtime. I do believe now that we've gotten more overtime in this one game than the previous 2.
Yeah,
one of them was literally like 12 seconds. The other one was about a minute, so.
Oh, certainly feels like it. Yeah, those were short stays in the OT. This one lasting a lifetime in comparison. All it takes is one shining moment. Pop off. Hockey could be the one. Double. Goes in for the interference. Catches nobody. Blue's been given the space, but it's immediately collapsed upon by Zenil. Didn't think he'd get there in time. Creams off the backboard. Can't get the second touch. Zenil just a pass worth a boost. What can he do with it? 50-50. Lands it in front of the net. Reinforcements required to make that save. The 50 now won over by Creams again. Hockey puts it down off the crossbar again. Follow up. It's enough. The Goomba stomp on the final defender of Indiana Tech will secure the goal.
Wow. It's just off the... Yeah, that's just a... Yeah, that feels horrible for Bluey right there. Just get a little bonk. Hey, you. Bonk on the head. Can I get back onto the sidewall and jump out at this one? And Northwoods has won 6 games in a row, with half of them won in overtime. Zenil with 7 shots attempted, which of course equals just the total amount of Indiana Tech. No biggie.
Yeah, plenty of offensive pressure. We saw Northwood in the beginning of that overtime face the shots and the rebounds from Indiana Tech, and it sort of felt like, okay, this is the turnaround moment right here. This is where Indiana Tech are going to finally capitalize on a clutch win. How many overtime wins? How many 0-second plays have we seen from Northwood just break the mental of Indiana Tech and win yet another close matchup? Indiana Tech, it feels like they needed to get one of these teeter-totter seesaw wins, and they keep ending up on the wrong side of it. It's a team that just hasn't displayed the ability to have the ice in the end. Granted, Tugboat, I do want to call out Indiana Tech made some insane saves in that overtime, right?
Oh, yes.
Those nail-biter goal line plays, got to give credit. At the end of the day, the loss is the loss.
Yeah, the way that this was shaping up, this game should not have gone to 2 minutes and 18 seconds or so. And then you could almost say that about Northwood on the other side. They're just not finishing on the offensive side. They're barely finishing on the defensive side and just not quite finishing the offensive side. Plenty of opportunity after that first 20 seconds, excuse me, or so. Northwoods, Indiana Tech going back to this, and this game 3 here has got to feel like a must-win for Indiana Tech, right? Just as unlikely as it would have been to a 4-0 Northwoods in the upper finals, it's going to feel like as unlikely as it is to come back at a full reverse sweep, not drop a single game on the way to 4 games in a row. Now, it's also important to say, given they won by 4-0, they literally have done that before. So, ball's still up in the air here, man.
I'm right there with you, though. A 4-0 sweep against Northwood, it's unlikely, but it is a shadow compared to the effort that would be required to reverse sweep, especially with the run carried over from the first matchup in this bracket reset, in this opportunity for Northwood to take the NECC championship. They're halfway there in the bracket reset. Zenil halfway to the goal with that flip reset. Northwood still seems like they're a few shots away from that first goal.
Bouncing ball, 35 seconds of time, and spent the entirety of this game 3's life. Northwood's in the offense, to Indiana Tech in defense. This might be the beginning of something beautiful. A great pitch over, but it doesn't result in a backboard rebound that ends with any sort of kind of passing thing. It's just immediate possession on the other side. Down low, that's just a little bit to the outside, close to it.
Creams has the flight. Right idea to get there, but really didn't have the 200 boost to the canister that would have been required for an aerial like that. So I think it's fine for Northwood. Again, they're comfortable in these situations. They played a minute of that defense in that overtime to transition, crash the boards, and get these infield passing plays to happen. Hockey just got the bread put in the basket with this pass from Zenil.
Yeah, and so Bluey goes up for the first shot that, It seemed like it was pretty obviously not going in. It wasn't going to be tipped in from the crossbar and then back down in skis. And this is a situation for Northwoods where it seems like the past couple of games, they don't even really need to put up honest shots right here because everything is going to be bid upon. Everything is going to be tested by at least one, and sometimes, and more recently, even sometimes in clutch moments, bid on by more people than Northwoods would ever really need to get a block on, right? So once you do that, it's just a numbers game. Might as well be in respawn after they got demoed. Might as well be not playing the game for just a couple of those seconds, man.
Wild save made there by Velocity. Kicked it right off the crossbar. And Hockey has a pretty simple save there, but Bluey turning around for a crazy redirect. I don't know about you, Tug. I thought maybe a Northwood player would be in the way on this one.
It was a Northwood player, I believe. That was a nose on it by Creams, who couldn't quite get to more of that 180-degree angle that they need to. I believe last touch on that was technically a Northwoods player. Creams, the redemption, easy off of kickoff. Take everything that I said and throw it out the window.
Hey, I told you there were advantages to this long car, and that is a wild backwards flick to pull off on that play. Definitely an advantage for Northwood to get their lead back immediately.
Yeah, immediately. Tied game we saw at the very beginning of this, obviously, and then for about 2 or 3 seconds until the kickoff did conclude. Bluey gets to the middle to try and take this pass, comes up to it, and jumps past it. Yet again, Hockey didn't even need to make contact.
Still, the possession continues for Indiana Tech. Feels like a wall has been put up, though, by Northwood, unless it's, on a breakaway play or a wild redirect. Can you get past this defense right now that has looked more formidable at any point in this series? A dastardly air dribble bump is going to connect on Indiana Tech and clear out some space in the midfield. Zenil does get a reset, but refuses to utilize it. I think his car got hit a little too far down to make it find its value. And some corner ball here for Tech. I don't know why all the players are together in the corner. It may reveal some vulnerabilities for them as the ball's been teed up high in the midfield for Northwood to take. These are some concerning plays here out of the defense of Indiana Tech, just uncharacteristic from an otherwise clinical team.
It really has been. I mean, yes, they got beat pretty bad in the last game of the last, but again, you pour everything to an offense at a certain point. The last game of a series, just to try and make it back. Outside of that, we've seen one score differences absolutely litter across the score line here between these two. Creams can't quite get the nose under this one, but it's the teammate there anyway. This is the Hockey story, right? Creams comes up, everybody clinches a little bit. Two different players have honest shots at this one, and then nobody's back on the second shot that you know is going to be coming afterwards. Velocity is literally parallel with the ball and with the net. Yeah.
I mean, listen, it just feels like Indiana Tech are playing in slow motion right now. That's how ridiculous this outpacing is right now from Northwood. Plus, the time and the space that they're getting near the ceiling is, you just can't offer that to players like Creams, who are going to knock it either in your net or off the crossbar for a teammate to close down on. This is another example of the same. Fortunately for Indiana Tech, Creams finds the woodwork again instead of the net. But it's 1-3 right now. It should be 1-4, maybe 5. These Tech are looking to get some kind of ground in this matchup.
Cream's going to be happy. He'll have a future as a carpenter after some hits like that. Either of those could have definitely made in. Either of those would have resulted in a 3-score differential, sub 60, which is a nail in the coffin. As of right now, I mean, you get one here, and then you have even just like any time left, or you get one with 10 seconds left or something like that, you're at least going to have a kickoff, and at least there's a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel. As it is, time squandered towards the end. Oh, this is a good play. Bluey tries for it, but loses the 50. Back on over to their right corner. Backwards passes, and Neil's going to be super happy with it. Every time this comes back here, that's about 4 or 5 seconds burned off the clock.
And too much has burned off that clock. 1-3, 2-goal lead for Northwood puts them in a 3-game lead advantage here on the bracket reset. Northwood University got them up. And let me know if I'm wrong, Tugboat. 7 games won in a row.
It is. They needed 8. Indiana Tech won the very first one and it was off to the races after there. And the thing is that like, so they go 4-1 afterwards. You think, oh my goodness, okay, this is just a return to normalcy here for Northwood as they sit on top of the NECC. They then sit on top of a lot of collegiate Rocket League, and this is what the script called for. But then after that, 2 back-to-back overtime wins, one of which Northwood's had to do everything just to get in 2. That's when we started, PyroJ, the narrative of this Indiana Tech A squad just needing to close, needing to finish, and do not count chickens until they're fully, not just hatched, until they're laying eggs of their own, it seems like, right? Because that's kind of like the consistent problem right here, where it's these assumptions. There was a couple of instances. I'm not talking about game number 5 there either. 7-1, again, you completely forgive that on the back end of the series once a team is just throwing everything they can, right? But there's been a couple of individual circumstances where they've gone forth and just cheated up just a tiny little bit too much, and that is just the fire alarm in the heads of every single Northwoods player. Is just, okay, take open lanes and get in position, because it doesn't matter. It's Neil Hockey Creams, they will get you the ball.
Oh yeah, those 3 have been linking up with each other in a perfect way. We've talked about the aerial give and goes. We've talked about any kind of ceiling play, backboard play. How about a pinch on the kickoff? I mean, we're filling out the entire resume of team goals right now, Tugboat. I think we're running out of ink.
I hear you. My bingo card is darn near full here, Pyro. They send 2, get them pinch right off the middle. Both players across the middle go flying, and then it's just a 1-on-1 across. And player coming back for picking up boost can't quite get there in time. 1 score differential here early. If there's one thing that I know is that Indiana Tech A does not have any give up inside of them. Okay, they're gonna play this all the way through, and they still know there's a comeback capabilities here.
There are. No matter how defeated they may feel after conceding another goal here, you can see Bluey doing everything they can. You've got a musty flicking Creams in the way, so you've not only got to hit the ball and dodge the bump, but then you have that follow-up and no reinforcements. You're put in nearly an impossible situation. Speaking of which, Hockey on a 1v1 stands his ground. Flicks that ball out and away. Pass over to Creams. It's a dart off the backboard. That has incredible velocity to it. It's going to be hit the wrong direction. Hockey's got to play the safe keeper of the net. He'll get 1 save. He'll try to turn it into 2. Fortunately for him, he's got Creams on the back wing.
Yeah, clean rotations from Cream on the defensive side. Teammates follow suit. It's just another shutdown defense. They're going to have to do this one again as ball reaches in their side of the pitch. Velocity to the skies. It's going to be a teammate bouncing this left corner and through the middle lane.
I'm pretty sure Creams is back to pre-jumping. he's got a crazy read right now on Indiana Tech, and he has been left to run amok. Shot turns into a bump that clears the defenders out. Backboard pass out to Zendil. And Tech have been beaten not only in the game of Rocket League, but mentally at this point, Tugboat. They cannot keep up.
Yeah, and you kind of see it. They're all on this left quadrant here. You really need to be spreading a pitch defensively once you see those balls coming back, and they're all just kind of almost drawing a line in behind themselves, trying not to leave tracks in the snow or something. Resh, 24, sends us back down. Not a whole lot of momentum on it, but velocity. The player right in front of them, the defender right in front of them, did get bumped, so they saw an opportunity to try to get it past, but once again, it's just Northwood's clean, crisp defensive rotations. Huge clear over the side. Wins a 50, comes up for it. Creams actually cuts low on this one and does get it for a second, but Blue is down there to meet him.
Hockey's got time to play this one, and time is of the essence, really, for Indiana Tech. They've got to be efficient with their attack here. So Bluey's going to try to get this ball at least across the face of the net. You see a diving attacker there out of Indiana Tech just to get a chance to score, just in case it slips through the seams of that defense from Northwood. But if this defense has shown anything, it's that they're not going to let anything slip by. Demolition from Creams is going to take that offense back a little bit. Velocity not willing to give up, sticking around that ball, but that's 2 beaten. Now Hockey just has Resh to beat. Flip reset is faked and is put under Velocity. There's just no stopping Hockey.
It just really isn't. That's going to be their third shot attempted, 2 goals, assists, and a pair of saves. It's individual members on Northwoods that kind of come around with a well-rounded play on each individual games, but it's consistency with which at least one of them is doing it on any individual game that has purchased themselves a huge lead. 4-0 as of right now, 10 seconds past halftime. And there's a little bit more incentive to be looking at one. I will say we have not seen a sweep of either of these two teams quite, or a shutout, excuse me. No, there's not been a zero goals scored situation across now 9 games of Rocket League.
Huh. Yeah, I'm sure Tech like that stat because it means a goal's coming at some point. Yep. They hope it's
there you go.
Nearer rather than farther away. And, well, yeah, Tugboat, you said it was on its way.
This Cream's just kind of getting a weird hit off their nose. I think they're trying to get this back down to the left corner, or maybe just that hockey is like, hey, this ain't a great pass. You have a player right near you. Regardless, it's going to be Northwoods giving up at least one and following the theme that both these teams have established so far in this 2 now best of 7s.
It's just really not the look that Indiana Tech wanted, especially after you see Creams change from one of the standard cars in Rocket League. You know, you're never going to see a player in Division 1 without a Fennec or an Octane. Mm-hmm. And, well, Creams makes you question what the standard is and what it should be. It's like someone going into a professional Smash Brothers tournament and walking in with Ganondorf. And taking out the whole competition. I mean,
it could happen.
It could happen, and it is right here. Creams has the opportunity to define the meta in a series with whatever vehicle he wants to. And it's being done 4-1 with a minute to go. A miracle is in the way of Indiana Tech and staying in this series.
Gotta agree. They've been in this kind of situation before here, down multiple and been unable to finish. Just like when they've been ahead, is the comeback capabilities have mostly been rearing their heads for the side of Northwoods. That was an attempted middling, trying to get that pass in there. Plenty of boost. Rush realizes that cheat up right here, maybe a goal the other way, but at a certain point, just like in that Game 5 of our first best of 7, you got to put everything in the offensive side, and if you get scored on more, who cares?
That's right. We'll see the final lunge from Indiana Tech. Bluey has one on target, and instead of Indiana Tech being the ones that over-aggressed, it is Northwood that find themselves too far behind the play, giving up one to make it a 2-goal game.
Yeah, the bad news is that Northwoods will almost certainly not do this one again in the next 22 seconds, right? Being up by 3, you can play around with this a little bit, but the wiggle room is now done. Well, fake off the kickoff, coming inside. That was almost a lot of life. Not just a little bit of life, but a lot of life at the end of the tunnel. Ball goes aloft. That's another 4 seconds eaten off. This one goes horizontal on the initial hit. Bluey comes in for it. Double tap attempted. Can't finish. That's another one, but it's just a little bit to the outside, and this game is over.
There it is, Northwood University, your NECC fall champions of Division 1. Taking out the competition and rising like a phoenix from the lower bracket to eliminate Indiana Tech in 2 matches. The game score 8-1. I mean, from about games 2, maybe 3, you could see what was happening, right, Tugboat? At Northwood University, they're finding their form, historically such a great team. Seen Creams Hockey and Zanil do it not only in the collegiate space, but as well in the professional leagues. And, you know, it was a lot of overtimes. It was a lot of 1-point games. But every single one, they ended up on top. And they exuded that confident display that we know and love from this team.
I gotta agree with you. There was a clear, favorite underdog story kind of coming into this one. Even if you took the 4-0 sweep in the upper finals from earlier, Indiana Tech has been doing some fantastic things since they've entered the Rocket League scene. Not taking anything away from them whatsoever. They got here to the grand finals by no mistake, right? But at the end of it, it just seems like, yeah, you can call it the clutch factor. You can call it this. I'm just going to go back to the same thing, and that's consistency. These are 3 members that have been in this situation before. They've had the clutch plays. They've had all the pressure in the world. They've had the lights and sounds and everything else like that. And at the end of the day, they just went forth and played their Rocket League game. It doesn't hurt that at the end of every single one of these close ones, they would end up on top. And especially, I mean, You could really, really look at that game 3 after one team wins by 4, the other team wins by 3. You're almost looking at like a clean slate at this point, right? Then we go up to a 3-2 last 12 seconds. Northwood gets it. The mental is a little bit dashed, and then they go with like 7 seconds in overtime to take it. That continues their run, the second of those wins, and a run that would not stop. 8 in a row. Crazy stuff. Crazy stuff.
Yeah, I think at the end we still hand a huge kudos to Indiana Tech to make it to the finals. They had to win the quarterfinals and the semifinals to get to this point, and defeat Northwood in that winners finals to be your runners up for Division I NECC. That is a huge title to take. We had teams like Concord and Cumberland and Ole Miss, etc. So many teams in this bracket to get to that position. So congratulations to them. Folks, before we leave you for a break, because we do have Division II coming up, we still got more late night NECC Rocket League action coming your way. A quick word from one of our sponsors here, the Wenzel's Farm. It's made in Wisconsin, goes great with gaming. Wenzel's Farm. Legendary Wisconsin meat sticks since 1977. 14 mouth-watering flavors. Meet your heart out. Wenzel's Farm. Legendary Wisconsin meat sticks since 1977. I'm sure you guys will see more messages from them coming up after we leave you. But Division II is next, folks, so stick around for it. We'll see you after this break.